Hey guys, it's the 19th of March. It's another update. It has been a long gap between the last one. The last one was around about mid-December. So just a quick context background thing before we go through the gate. Absolutely immense progress. I think the last video we just started moving all the temporary kitchen down into the extension, building the flat pack that came from the flat in Leeds. And since then, it's just absolutely transformed. So let's go through. So from the last video, obviously, building materials, the big beams off the original garage conversion that we changed for more modern joists. We got big white stones. They've come from foundations that we've dug out, outbuildings that we've taken down. We've got like a metal store, just sheet metal, like pipes, guttering, anything that we think we can use and save money in the future. Tiles that have come off outbuildings, bricks, mud bricks, and like all these flat mosaic slabs, pebbles. Like it's really useful to have this kind of store. And it is taking up like the front garden, if you want to call it the front garden, but it's a lot easier having everything organised at this left hand side. And then when you turn around, just look at the changes. So pear tree, the big pear tree's come down, and the reason it's got a bag on it is because we've got a big 6-inch metal vise that we used to put the big branches in and cut with a chainsaw. But obviously from the absolute bad weather we've had after December for the last 2 months, it's been rusting, so we've just covered that. The trees are doing really well. We've got the mother or grandma march bracelets for the good luck. We're all starting to bud. Really happy with that. Really happy. So you can see like the water tap has been lagged with like carpets and cloths, things like that, because they were going to freeze and bust. So it's one of the precaution and preventative things you've got to do for winter. The little water meter house has been taken down because it got a bit sketchy. It wasn't cemented or anything like that, and it was pretty wobbly. And whenever the guy came to do the readings with the meter, I was always precautious, and I was trying to hold it up as he's like leaning on it. So I took that back down. A few updates of outside here. You'll notice the trough, the big ugly concrete trough is gone. All the logs that were kind of like walled up vertically here, they've all been chainsawed and burnt over Christmas. We've put like a vapor barrier over that window because we were trying to stop the drafts during winter. We were getting to about minus 10 degrees. So any drafts from into the bit where we live in, which is through that door into the extension, we were trying to nip in the bud. So usually I follow down this route. Just before I'll go past that, there used to be a bread oven there, and we took that down to make some more room for log storage and coal. So you can see that we've been prepping for this winter coming of 2022. And it's approximately, what time is it? Probably mid-afternoon, something like that. Nice weather, but it's chilly, and it's only just coming into the sunshine. And we've got all the big things to process in summer this year. We've got some new axes. Just absolutely organised. Yeah, you can see the bread oven remnants there. And eventually this will all be taken down and new roof on that. So I'll go back down my usual route before I get carried away. So you remember like the rubble bags, like all piled up, some weird plates of metal, and it's all been really tidied. We're about to leave for the UK, so it was really important for us to come back and have it as clean and as low maintenance as possible. So this hole here, you're going to notice a few craters as we walk around because we've been doing a lot of excavating of vines and pipes that are no longer needed. So there was a T here that feeds the summer house, like here, and then it fed the trough. Like there was an L bracket thing there, and it fed like a trough sink. Well, it had corroded and had come off at the elbow and at the T underneath. And that's obviously fed directly from the outdoor tap, and then like the meter pit on the other side. And since we got here, the waterman assumed our water meter was broke because it kept on going round, like bingo numbers. Every single time he came to read the meter, he had to guess. And for the process before we got the bath and the tap and all the indoor water, he was just putting us down as like 5 cubic meters, which was about a couple of lev, like £1.50 a month. And then he came with a new meter last month, about 3-4 weeks ago. Put the new meter on, and it was ticking round. And we realised the pipe had corroded and has been leaking full water pressure since we got here in July into the ground. And we've been estimated 100 cubic meters since we got here. He's going to let us off, obviously, like that's a lot of money. So so that's solved and buried. So that's just a quick bit of a background check. So you can see, like, we've got a bit of a perimeter wall to do in the future, and that's all like white stone that we found that are just ob shaped and things like that. The little mud wall that I've built to try and be a bit of a windbreak for the logs. But yeah, the trough, I mean, like, you can see the square here, and like these little like square pieces of grass I've tried cutting up with my sharp spade off the surface of the garden and try and give it like a bit of a haircut thing to try and map back in. That's going quite well so far. Wood room / saw room, that's really full. Loads of useful planks in there. Really happy with that. The baby trees, some are starting to sprout. So we're quite happy with that. And they survived the really harsh winter that we had. Not too bad, because we had central heating in on the last couple of weeks. Little compost pile going there. We empty the ash bins, things like that. So you can see this is a baby pear tree that we salvaged from the big stump with the vice on. Salvaged this, and that survived. So we're pretty happy with that. Also planted a couple of little pine tree saplings that we found in the centre of the village. Don't know if they all come back. There's a little baby one over there. You just see the little green haircut thing. All the grapes have been dug out, so that's obviously one big crater there. I think I'm up to about 18 or 19 vines. Really, really tedious digging them out. Absolutely. And you can see how far I got to dig down. And like these two, they were strangling the fence. So pulling all the vines, like really brittle vines through the chain link, was a bit of a tedious task as well. And like they're pretty deep. So this is just a quick little bonfire pile. And you can see some of the roots that I've pulled out. Like that one. That's a root ball. And you can see I didn't get all of them before we go. But we did pretty well. I think I got like 15 out of 18 dug up. The hardcore bed for the drive, tried kneading it off with some old mud bricks, and then when they degrade, it'll kind of be like a green verge thing, and then sand, ballast and concrete. So it gives us somewhere to put the rubble and the hardcore. Looking back up and the sun doesn't glare too much. You'll notice the wall that used to be there at the back near that white tree is gone, because all that was overgrowing on our side, and the person who owns that house in the barn over there in the distance, she no longer lives here, so we have permission to maintain the land. So we took the wall down, and we might rebuild it and attach it to where it's supposed to be, which is there. So from that gap to like there is the wire fence that's all being pulled down by vines. So we did our best. But it's looking pretty neat. We haven't asked her to plough it this year to see if it can kind of self-level itself with like the grass, and bind all the clay and mud together, because when we dug out the cesspit and it was all clay and mud, we just dumped it on the garden because we didn't want to be trailing up and down village and dumping it everywhere. So you can see massive differences. So those big boulders ran out of energy and they're out the foundations of the wall. You can just see the wall there. And that wall is her, like, foundations of her garage, so it's pretty run down, but we're doing what we can. So coming across here, which I think is my usual path. It's been a while since I saw the last video. I think it's been about 3 months. So, little baby trees, and the biggest noticeable difference is there used to be a lean-to outbuilding here. So we had like the little goat shed thing, and like it was like angled up to there. The sun glare is a bit bad, there you go. And we've added some more weed preventive membrane. And now exposed, the mud brick isn't exactly like weatherproof, but because it's mud brick, we've already planned on bringing this whole side of the summer house down and rebuild it with proper brick. So if it like degrades a bit and looks like that wall over there, where it's kind of like flat and because all the rain deteriorates the mud, it doesn't matter. Just use what we can and rebuild. So all the big stones you saw in the builder's sorting yard garden, this was all a concrete pad, reinforced with like barbed wire, and smashed it all up, levelled it with the soil, took all the tiles back up to that last layer. The old Dunny toilet, still haven't managed to get rid of that. So all the long logs you saw near the balcony, they were all like stacked along here. We had loads of random stones and rubbish. Gas bottle shed. We got the last 2 gas bottles, so they were recently delivered, so that's why they're not painted black, and that's only the first coat on those 2. But we're thinking of like moving this store to maybe the right hand side, a bit closer to the gate, because dragging them when they're full, they're like maybe like 45-50 kg. So we're doing really, really well. That's like a tinder box that we've reclaimed, and it's basically full of sticks from when we pruned all the trees. Can't go into the summer house, but there's not much to show anyway from the last video. It's just been tidied with all the antique Bulgarian belongings off the previous owners. It's just been tidied, really. So coming back round. And that's why, because we're leaving, I've just made this like a makeshift lock for the summer house French doors, because they never bloody close. Okay, so going into the extension / living area. So we had already dug this bit out to the level that you see over there. But we then decided to backfill it because we didn't want to dig out the entire length of the summer house to the level of that. So it's backfilled with soil and hardcore. The steps to the cellar is a lot more spacious, so you don't bang your head on the short beam. And we've used bricks just so you're not walking on the dirt, and this will all be concreted eventually. Little umbrella thing. So this is what's happened so far. So the shelves, all the accent windows that we've got going on, they've been varnished, sanded and put back in place. These 2 on the left hand side are the only ones that haven't been actually permanently fixed down, but all the other windowsills that you'll see walking around in a minute have been. So obviously all that will be plasterboarded this coming summer. So we've done the entire extension with 1 coat of diamond matte, just to bring it up a bit and seal all the dust from sanding the joints. Huge difference. We've even painted the concrete to try and lock in some of that dust. Petrichor was an absolute lifesaver for winter. And we've even done all this up by ourselves. All the white stone you saw gathered around the garden in different piles, and the mosaic small piles in the little near the pebbles. We've literally hand-picked nearly every single one, stuck them all on individually, as randomly but as authentic as we can, so you can't see like a pattern. And the fire pokers, they're all originals from the house that we found. Just a little, the back door lock hasn't been fitted yet, so the pipe is just kind of a precaution thing. So the wooden window bench, absolutely love that. Fully fixed down, no movement. Really, really happy with this corner. It's one of our favourite corners. And obviously the furniture from the flat is now in its resting place pretty much. And eventually these will have like candles on and things like that, but this is our little kitchen area. The main food prep goes on in the utility room currently. So we've got all the appliances ordered near Christmas, they're all in and working. Mini worktop built with just some planks. So that's where our food prep is as well. So into the bathroom. Just let you just look at the differences for a few seconds. So we tried carrying on the mosaic stone as a feature all the way around, and you can see that there's a contrast gap. The shower is on and working, but not tested because we've left the shower drain for the final thing before we do the floor, because we don't know what height we need and flow and drop. Fitted the privacy film on the windows to prevent anyone looking in from the street, which is really good because it still lets in a lot of light. So you follow the stone behind the toilet, which is now permanently fixed down. The cabinet, pretty good, 99.9% finished. The sill that goes behind is yet to be fixed because there's a gap at the back because the plank's not wide enough. But that's all snagging really. Box the bath in, absolutely love it. So we carried on the stone, so it wraps around the bath, comes around, stops, and then the shower. And we did every single one ourselves. And this has all been like one coated with paint as well to seal the dust. And the lights aren't fully permanently fixed in, but they're just kind of almost flush, just to give us a bit of a homely feel. And the ornaments are coming out and really making it cosy. A temporary bathroom door has been made, just for some privacy for visitors and things like that. But we're kind of hoping to be like a shed panel door with like the Z on the back and the black handle in the future. So we did rely on a ladder for probably about 2 or 3 months to get from this second step up to the hallway floor, but it was getting too precarious, so Nish came up with just a quick idea of making some steps and just use like the shoe rack as like a kind of a thing to ease you going up. So they're pretty sound. So not much has gone on with the hallway. Air conditioning has been fitted. That was a nice little lifesaver as well for the burst of quick heat. So I'll just turn around when I get to here so you can see what it looks like. So eventually viewing window there above, because the garage roof, or the extension roof now, is just above the lintel, maybe 2 or 3 courses. So I'm thinking a big like gallery window there, chandelier above the stairs, and like solid wood flooring, and a lobby plastered and things like that, and a new loft hatch, etc. So this is currently the lounge on the right hand side, and you can see that we're getting ready to pack for the UK. There's a few windows left that we're going to get converted to UPVC this time round, this summer. And the radiator, we kind of like blocked off and stopped heating the rooms that we weren't in, and we just relied on like the bedroom and the extension to heat during winter. So it's just a bit of a storage area at the minute. Not much things left from the courier that we haven't unpacked really. So this is this smaller bedroom out of the 3, and this will be like for visitors. Our first visit is going to be Zoe, that we're going to come back with. So there's a couple of cosmetics to do, but it is just minor, it's just aesthetic. Nish had made the curtains by by hand using a sewing machine. So we're hoping to build like a double bed out of some nice sturdy chunky wood and ordering the mattress before we come back. This floor's been painted as well, so just a nice little spare room really. Not much going on in our bedroom from when you last saw. Obviously the windows got done a good while ago now, so it's just been tidied and just made homely really. The storage under the bed helps a lot as well for stuff that you don't want in sight. Is this open? Yeah. Right. All the plants are currently on like IV fluid water for the travelling, just so they don't go dead before we come back. So I'll go downstairs. And just walk you back around this way. Just a quick glance in the cellar. I think from when you last saw the video, I don't know if we had the appliances. They've just been defrosted and cleaned out. We've got like the solar batteries, inverters, generator ready for power cuts. A little bit of a storage rack. Hang the potatoes up and the onions up there, but we're just clearing out. A bit of wine. Collect all the wine bottles in there. Dishwasher arrived, but we haven't yet plumbed it in permanently because the water is a bit hard, so we want to invest in a water filter thing to not ruin it. So if I go back this way, tour room is just the tour room still. This is the first room of the actual summer house, and it's just random gear really to do DIYs. That's the chandelier in that box. So yeah, if I just go out of this door. And I come out here. This is where we come out from. So absolutely well impressed of how nice it's becoming. The future plan for the decking would be extending it, but I won't go into too much detail with that right now. So I usually walk onto a balcony, I think, if I remember rightly, for the full view. And I'll be behind the sun, which will be quite good. So the air conditioner, obviously, a bit of patchwork to be done. Maybe a bit of like profile to hide the pipes, and then there'll be like a gully drain. It's just the condensation pipes really. There's nothing, it's not like a water supply or anything like that. But this will all be like decking, it won't be concrete. Hopefully before the end of the year, but no real rush with that. So yeah, that's obviously from on the balcony, it's pretty organised in the builder's yard. So like we have the smalls, the mediums and the bigs of the mosaic, like flat white stone, and that's all soft white granite. Well, I say soft, it's pretty heavy. So this is the view. Really happy with it. But we've been meaning to come and do another walk around, but the weather has just been absolutely up and down. Even though the sun's out, it's still pretty cold. It's probably about 6 or 7 degrees. And it's pretty windy, and sometimes. So that's Dad's greenhouse over there, over the street. And the apple tree, all the trees got pruned, but apple tree's coming back really strong. Hazelnut and almond, I think almond, yeah, they're all budding, and we absolutely cannot wait, because when we come back it'll all be like a flattish meadow, bonfire pile at the back there, like, but it's just going to bind all the mud and the boggy swampiness, because when that pipe was leaking it was always boggy there and we never knew why, and we thought because of the little minor dips in the land, but now it's really drying out. And obviously the water 100 cubics of water every month. Like, it's like a fire hose underneath your foundations. So we're really glad we caught that early and haven't been charged the year for it, which was quite lucky as well. But yeah, so we're going back to England tomorrow. It's a bit of a long journey, a couple of weeks in England, family visits, etc. Coming back and cracking on. But we'll be focusing on the main house, so like the windows, like indoor plastering, new sockets, new wiring to the fuse board, and not go that way just yet. We'll probably take like the end buildings off that are like falling down, but we're not too fussed. Maybe do a bit of roof work just to give it another year off our back, like. But yeah, when all these trees start budding and we finish the little white stone circles around and start building some raised planters, we're going to absolutely just be bouncing when we come back. Absolutely bouncing. So yeah, that's coming to the end of the video now. Quite a long one, but I thought I'd catch you all up on some background context. Hope you enjoy. Any questions, just leave us a like or a comment below. Thanks, bye.